You're watching Telecom TV from the MEF 16 event in Baltimore. And I'm joined now by Eric Lesser of Charter Communications and Mike Benchek of Syama Systems. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on Telecom TV.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about the MEF's Service Activation Testing Power Play paper that's just been published. Eric, what is the MEF's vision for service activation testing?
The idea is that we've been doing service activation for quite a while, but we wanted to have a standardized approach that a service provider could use to interoperate with other potential operators, but using standardized tools to communicate the information that needed to go.
Yeah. Mike?
And it breaks down that one-off for every service provider that you want to interact with. It's now a standard set of attributes that are going to be tested. Everybody understands that, and when you exchange information, you know what that information is going to be without having to negotiate it, which is a big problem for service providers.
So this is aimed squarely at service providers, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And a wider industry should be aware of it as well, or?
The equipment manufacturers are interested in this because some of the parts of the power play, the latching loopback, the SAT PDU, and control protocol impact their equipment, as opposed to a service provider who now has to go off and request those functionalities from their equipment vendors.
Probably worth just saying at this point, what do we mean by power play? What does power play refer to?
So the power play is actually a combination of three of the MEF standards. There's the service activation testing standard itself. There's the latching loopback, which interoperates with the far end device and allows it to go and replicate that data back towards the originator. And then there's the PDU, which is how do we communicate with that far end device and allow an exchange of information. So can we do a one-way test from the far or near side to the far side and back from the far side to the near side and have independent results?
So why now? Why is now the right time to release this?
Well, I think that Ethernet service is ubiquitous at this point, and we need to have standards on how we're testing so that subscribers, customers, and other service providers understand exactly what's going to be tested and what that service is going to do before they accept the service. And that's really the purpose of the power play.
So are these components a critical item for service providers, or is it just a merely nice to have add-on?
They're absolutely critical to service providers. We've been using standards for many years on doing service activation testing, but now this allows us to interoperate, not just internally to ourselves, but allows us to work with multiple different vendors and different operators. We can perform a test between multiple operators.
It's been able to do this between multiple operators. Is that multiple service providers, or do you involve like cloud providers and as well?
It could be any of those. It could be multiple service providers, a service provider to an operator who just provides a piece in the middle, an access provider who's providing the access to the customer, or a cloud service provider who's providing that end link. All of them can use the information in the power play to perform the testing that's required and to interpret the results that come back.
And how has Charter benefited from this so far?
So we're using this with our network element vendors so that they can develop those standards into their products, whether it's the actual NID or router or switch vendor, so that they can implement those functionalities, or if it's our test vendors, right, so that they can do the testing standards. It allows us to communicate that way. The other key piece is that when we, as Mike was saying, buying service from another provider, or we're having a service purchased from us, we can then go and interoperate with them without having our hands on the other pieces of the pie.
And also benefits the vendors.
Oh yes, very much. From the equipment vendor perspective, we didn't have to start from scratch. There was a standard of here's the testing you need to perform, so it's a place where we can start. Now we can enhance that to differentiate ourselves, but it's a place to start and really comes in handy with the equipment vendors.
And what would you say the wider implications? What would your advice be to other service providers?
Yeah, for other service providers, I think it's business critical, right? So, up until now, we were testing the service, but we haven't been testing all the attributes of the service that the MEF defines, right? So MEF CE 2.0 service, this helps us understand and qualify all of those attributes between the two companies.
Mike?
And I think, it is key for the industry for customers to understand what they've just purchased and that it's going to perform to the standard that they expect, that they received a birth certificate that the PowerPlay calls out for, and gives them that indication your service is working and it's working the way you expect it to be. And if something degrades later, they have something to go back to and say, it worked once, why isn't it working now?
Excellent. Well, Mike and Eric, thank you both very much indeed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You.